So in the last part, what we have done is we have created two classes called as class A and class B. In class A, you have a method called as show. In class B also you have a method called as show. In both these show methods, what we have a for loop. One for loop prints hello and second for loop print hi, and the value and the number of time the loop will increment is 5 times. Now what we'll do is we'll try to run this loop parallelly. Now if you want to execute this parallelly, let's see why it is executing in sequence. It's because by default, every Java every Java application has one thread, and that one thread is your main thread. So I hope you remember when we working with exceptions, we were working with exceptions. At that time, we have seen an exception in this way: exception in thread main. That means main is a thread. So by default, we are working with only one thread, right? And that thread goes from this line, it goes to this line, then that thread goes to this line. Once you call show, it will jump here, it will print this, and then the thread will come out to print this. Since we have only one thread, it following the sequence. What if we use two different threads here? In order to create threads, we need to extend your class with a thread class. So basically we have three different ways of creating threads. So initially we'll use extends thread. So both the class A and class B extends thread. So once you have extended the thread, you need to use a method. You have to override a method called as run. So public void run. So thread class will have a method called as run. In this run, you can call this show. So from this run, you can call this show. And in this class also, class B, we need to define a method, and that method will be public void run. And from this, you can call show. Now this run here will call a show, which is local show for this is this show, and this run will call this show. Then question arises, how to call that run method? Now from obj, we simply need to say it is obj dot run, and from with obj1 we can simply say obj dot run. It's like calling a run function or run method to call show method. Right? If I run this application, we are expecting a parallel process here. And if I run this, it's still the same output. It's because when you say we are extending a thread and you're calling a run function or run method, it will not create a new thread. It will simply continue with the main thread. What we want is it should create a new thread. So to create a new thread, instead of using run, we need to use a method called a start. So start is responsible to create a new thread. So when you say run, it will continuously go with the main thread. If you say start, it will create a new thread and will use it. Then question arises, we are not mentioning any start method in this class. What we have mentioned is run, and that's the delegation. When you call start, it will call this run. Now if you see the output and it's still same, then you will say there's something wrong here. Is it a parallel output? No, we are getting a sequence, right? Let's run this again. Again we are getting hello hi. If you try to run it again, let's say if you run the Java application, you can see there is something change here. This time it is hi and then hello. That means we are trying to achieve the parallelism, but still we are getting all in sequence. It's because there is something called a scheduler in your system. That scheduler will allocate some time to your thread, maybe in seconds or milliseconds. In that time, that thread can execute any number of statements. Now what we can do is we can ask a thread to hold for a second or to wait for a second after every execution. So we'll say thread.sleep. So sleep method here is a static method, belongs to a class called as thread, and sleep method expect a argument which is the time in milliseconds. So we can pass 1000 milliseconds. Now 1000 milliseconds means it's 1 second. Now the problem is there is a chance that sleep will not be allowed in your application. So it will generate an error So we have to handle the exception. So we can use something called as try catch block. So we'll say try, and for the whole for loop we can apply a catch block. So we can say it is catch. I know there will not be any error here, so we'll not print any error. Okay. And in fact, instead of doing this, you can write the whole thing in one line. So instead of applying try catch outer side, what we can do is we can simply write try catch near your thread class or sleep method. It's because the only place we will be getting the exception is this sleep method. So we'll say this is catch exception E and a bracket. Okay, now same thing we have to do. Hold on, there is an error. We have extra bracket here. Okay, so we'll use the same thing. We'll copy this code and we'll write the same thing here in this show method and paste it here. Now if you try to run this, so it's a run as Java application, you can say it is hi hello, hello hi, hi hello, hello hi, and yeah, that's it. See, we are not getting the exact parallelism, but still we have tried to achieve it. Then you will say why we are getting hello hello is there is a chance that both the threads goes to your scheduler and say I want to execute at the same time. Now it's depend upon your scheduler to which thread it will give the priority. Okay, and that is done with the help of this random way. So you don't have control on that. But still we have tried to achieve the parallelism with the help of thread class. We'll do some more of this in the subsequent tutorials.